Hi, everyone. Welcome to our weekly obsession with Maria.
And Devin.
Actually, though, it's with Devin and Maria. Sorry, it's in alpha order. I just said
Oh,
Maria
right. Yeah.
because
Okay, so with Devin.
Maria. We're super excited today because we earlier in the week interviewed the author of Dreams That Can Save Your Life. She's actually the co-author. Her name's Kathleen O'Keefe-Kanavos.
Cannabis.
Right.
Cannabis.
Right. You should tell. Well, she's going to tell us why.
Yeah, she'll tell us in the episode. It rhymes with cannabis. Um,
You have your coffee too.
yes, I have my copy too. So this is her co-written, and then oh fuck.
Should we just start this one over again?
Okay, because I
Or
just
should we keep
swore.
it rolling? This is
We'll
good
just keep it rolling. I swore beep. Sorry.
Whoops.
I
We
dropped my
don't know how
book.
to edit the beep over that either.
Yeah, I dropped my book, but at least it wasn't the iPad this time.
Well, okay, so let me give you a brief synopsis of the book. So basically, Kathleen, this is not Kathleen, but this is supposed to represent Kathleen, was having a series of dreams that in her dreams, this monk was coming to her and telling her that she had breast cancer and she needed to go back to her doctor after a routine mammogram showed that she didn't have cancer and demand an exploratory surgery. Told to her within her dreams. So after these dreams and after she ended up having breast cancer for real, she documents it in the book. And the exploratory surgery found the breast cancer that the monks told her about. She went to the internet looking for other people like her, and she found, well, actually, he found her,
He
Larry
found
Bird,
her, yeah.
the co-author, and he's a dream researcher, medical doctor from Duke University, and they teamed up together to write this book. So within this book, there are other stories of women who diagnosed their breast cancer on their own through dreams. I guess I can't really say diagnosed because I think the doctor technically does this, but they had to advocate for themselves at a stronger level because initial mammograms didn't pick up the breast cancer that they were told about in their dreams. What do you think? That was a pretty good recap, right?
Nailed it. Yeah.
Okay.
No, he Dr. Burke at Duke University was doing a study, and during the study, that's when he came across Kathleen, or Kat as she allowed us to call her. Yeah, and at that point Kat had already written or no, it was after she had written her first book.
Oh, Surviving Cancerland. I always
Yes.
that she
Yeah,
wrote a
she had written her first book, which was a very thorough explanation, like her whole start to finish. And that was when they connected after he had found her book, and so I think that was just kind of what initiated things.
oh, sorry, continue.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say she's gonna give us the whole spiel, but
yeah, she lays everything out for
she was
us.
a lot of
So
fun too.
it was a lot of fun, and there was like a lot of moments where like she said some deep stuff, like in terms of you need food to live, you need water to live, you need sleep to survive. Like I just like her whole, anyway, they're going to
Yeah.
see it in the episode. I mean, I think that not only did her dream save her life, but it totally changed her life, which
I think
is,
so too. I think that's fair to say.
yeah, I mean, starting out as a special education teacher, she now is this amazing writer and speaker, and she does motivational speaking, she does life coaching, she does everything, dream interpretation.
She does dream interpretation on her local CBS affiliate, and actually a number of our viewers sent in their dreams and she interpreted them. So I
Yeah,
think half of our conversation with her is just going over dreams.
right. And I mean, we can talk about it more in the conclusion, but I think a lot of people were hesitant to send us their dreams
Oh,
because
totally.
so many people were really pumped up about this episode. But then it was like when we asked, send us your dreams, it was like crickets.
Yeah,
We still
definitely.
got a handful, but I think
Not like
maybe,
I was expecting for
No,
sure.
not, I wasn't, I was expecting way more too. And so I think there was a lot of people that were hesitant to send them in. But now that we've connected with her and we have all of the information on how everybody can get in touch with her, people are more than welcome to reach out to her individually, because she does do, that's, I mean, that's what she does. And she encourages people to call into her talk show or write into her show.
We should talk about that more after.
At the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so without further ado, your next little clip is going to be cat. You know, I thought there was an actual cat on the cover of this book for the longest time, but I think it's just because her name is Cat.
Oh yeah, I don't see a cat.
There's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our special guest. This is Kathleen O'Keefe, and it's okay if we call you Kat, right?
Yes.
All right. So, Kat, if you wouldn't mind just taking a few minutes and introducing to our viewers yourself.
Sure. My name is Kathleen O'Keefe, and I married a Greek guy, so now it's Kathleen O'Keefe-Kanavos. And it rhymes with cannabis, but it's spelled with a K and has a V in it. So people remember it really well, rather, more than the rest of my name. It's like, oh, yeah.
Right.
So I am a 3-time breast cancer survivor. And what makes my story maybe a little bit different from everybody else's story, although I'm finding more stories like it, is my dreams diagnosed my cancer all 3 times when the medical community and the tests on which they depended missed it. So I had mammograms, blood tests, and physicals, and none of them showed up the cancer. And at that time I had just turned 40. It was probably 39 when I started having the dreams. It took me 3.5 months to finally convince my doctor to do a exploratory surgery on my breast, which, let me tell you, was not easy. And it was at that point he found stage 2 breast cancer with it in my lymph nodes. And then almost 5 years to the day, recurrence happened, and since they were using mammograms again to watch for recurrence, they missed it. So my main messages are dreams can be a really early warning sign for cancer, crisis, relationships, everything. And there's 30% of women out there in the world who have missed mammograms and they have false negatives when in fact there could be a problem.
Were you an avid dreamer before all of, I mean, everyone's an avid dreamer, but did you have sort of significant telling dreams before the breast cancer dreams?
I did. I was always, a big dreamer. I always had lots of dreams at night. I loved them. It was like going to the movie theater and you didn't have to buy popcorn. But not at any time did I have dreams like this. And what made the breast cancer diagnostic or precognitive dreams different, so I would be having my regular dream and all of a sudden it would freeze, just like the page on your computer. And that frozen page would then turn into a window, and that window would turn into a door, and through that door would walk a Franciscan monk dressed in the brown robe with the rope belt. Yep, just like the one on the cover of the book. Yes. And he had his hood up and he said, "Come with me, we have something to tell you." And he would lead me through that door into what I call the room between realms. It's the area of where the dead can come and visit, and the living can go and visit the dead. And there were other monks in there, and they took my hand, which made my dream so special. When I was talking with Dr. Larry Burke, who's the co-author of the book and one of the dream researchers at Duke University Medical, the monk took my hand, put it on my breast, and said, "Can you feel that in the dream?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "That's breast cancer. You go back to your doctor tomorrow without an appointment and tell him you need a different set of tests." And it turned out I had this dream 3 times. And the fourth time and I went back to my doctors every time. They gave me mammograms, they gave me blood tests. They were going, we can't feel anything. And so the fourth time when I saw that monk, I started crying in my dream. And I said, I know why you're here, but they're not listening to me. I can't make those doctors listen to me, and I can't do these tests on my own. And the monk reached into his sleeve and pulled out this little teeny tiny white feather and handed it to me. And he said, you use this like a sword tomorrow. Go back to your doctor and you cut through all his arguments with this feather. And if you imagine this feather and you use it like a sword, you're going to get the test you need, which is exploratory surgery. So I did, got the surgery, woke myself up out of anesthesia during the surgery, and turned to the doctor and said, well, what is it? Because I heard him say, we got it all, let's close her up. And he turned to me and he said, did she just speak? And the anesthesiologist came up over the top of my head and said, oh my God, did she just talk? And they said, it's what we thought it was, a fibrostic tumor. It's nothing. And then when I was waking up in the little recovery room and the doctor came in, the look on his face, and he pulled that little curtain around behind him, that was the first warning bell. And then when he came and took my hand, that was the second warning bell. And he said, pathology didn't like what they saw when they cut open the tumor. And I said, so is it breast cancer? And he said, yeah, I'm sorry. Now I'm going to have to refer you to a specialist. And I had asked for a specialist to be in the surgery.
Wow. Earlier when you were saying that when the dreams began, you were going through a window and opening a door and kind of crossing between the realms. Did you recognize any of the Franciscan monks? Were they faces of anyone you knew, or were they the same monks in the recurring dreams?
I couldn't see their faces because they always kept their hoods up. So all I saw were their hands coming out. Their hoods were up. I could hear their voices. I could count how many there were, but I didn't recognize any of them. Now, I should probably also say that about 6 months before I was diagnosed, my mother died of colon cancer, and I took care of her in the last months of her life. So when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I'd already seen what death by cancer looked like, and I was scared out of my mind. And before the monks started coming into my dreams, my mother, my dead mother, came into one of my dreams, and she was like floating up above me. And she said, she reached down with her hands and she took my hands and she said, you are going to be just fine. I remember looking up at her in my dream from my bed going, well, yeah, why wouldn't I be? And she goes, no, you're going to be just fine. And then it was a few months later that I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So that room between realms, our dead loved ones can go in there to bring us information.
I like sitting here with goosebumps.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people that have lost, I mean, I know I've had experiences like that where I've lost someone that's come to tell me something, but not so, like, was the darkness, do you think, was that the ominous sort of warning tone that told you not only were they serious or telling you something that you had to heed, but more so that it was a danger sort of message as opposed to, I mean, granted, they're telling you that you had breast cancer, but.
Mm-hmm. You mean the fact that the room was like a darker room?
I guess so. Like if it were a lighter room, maybe you'd be expecting.
Right.
I don't know.
I think that in the book that I wrote that you put up, Dreams That Can Save Your Life, Early Warning Signs of Cancer and Other Diseases, we have 30 stories in there with other people who had similar dreams where, they had a spirit guide or their guardian angel or their deceased loved one came back to them in the dreams. And most of those dreams that were dark like that, or they were at night, or the streets were wet, like Inca Nussbaum's dream in there, those are considered shamanic dreams. That means that they are dreams from another realm. They're like a mystical dream. And that's a telling point for shamanic dream. Like I'll ask people when they have their dreams, was it day, was it night, was it bright and light, or was it dark? And most shamanic mystical dreams are dark, even when it's a positive message.
Why? I mean, is it strange to ask why?
I don't know, but you know, it's like symbolisms in dreams. We have specific symbolisms, like a round circle with lines coming off of it is the sun, and a crescent is the moon, and then a star looks like a star. And all over the world, if you see a star, you know it's night. If you see a moon, you know it's night. A sun is day. And the researchers who study dreams, not sleep, but dreams, all say that shamanic dreams are dark, even when it is a positive message.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
So at what point was it that you got hooked up with Dr. Larry Burke? Like, at what point did you realize, oh my God, I'm not the only, because like you said, this book, talks about the study and all of the other stories from all the other people. Like, at what point did you realize that this it just wasn't you, and that there were more other people out there who had similar experiences?
Well, actually, it was after I had written my first book, Surviving Cancerland.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the dreams were in that book as well. And at that time, Dr. Larry Burke was doing his first research, dream breast cancer research. And the reason he was doing the research is because he is a radiologist at Duke University Medical. And at that time, I believe he was chief of radiology at Duke University. And he had women who were coming into him saying, you know, I found my breast cancer. And he's thinking, oh, was it a self-exam? And they're going, no, it was a dream. And he's going, it was a what? And they'd say, it was a dream. I found my breast cancer in a dream. And then I had to go back to my doctor and convince my doctor to do a second set of tests. And sometimes I had to be a real pain in the butt. You know, just like me. I was too. Yeah, I was not sweet and cute.
Rightfully so.
And so he started writing these people's names down, these women's names down. And when he got 20, he said, I need to do a dream research on this. So he started doing the dream research, and then he went onto the internet to see if there were any other women out there who could be a part of his research. And my name came up because of the other book. So I answered all of his questionnaires, and we talked and we interviewed each other. And he said, you know, I'm going to write all this up now. And all of his research went into medical journals. And I said, so now that you've published all this in all your medical journals, what are you going to do with the information? This is something that the whole world needs to know.
Right.
And he said, well, I don't know. Do you have a suggestion? And I said, yeah, let's put it in a book. And find a publisher, publish the book so that it gets out to the masses and people realize that dreams are just as important today as they were 6,000 years ago in Egypt, in the dreaming temples.
It's just so incredible. And the two of you you've gotten some major mainstream attention for this book too. You've been on the doctors, you know, the major cable networks. I know Dr. Larry Burke he's done TED Talks. So it's obviously something that, even though you had to fight your doctor for this exploratory surgery, it's becoming less taboo in the medical community. Would you agree with that? Maybe not.
I think this book is going to help it to be less taboo, because the book just won the Nautilus Book Award in science and cosmology, which is basically science looking at the Big Bang of spirituality. So there is real interest in dreams, which have been around forever. And I would tell the doctors, you know, you have to eat or you die. You have to breathe or you die. And research shows that if you don't go to sleep and dream, you will die. So why would you spend 1/3 of your life doing something that means nothing? It has to mean something.
What a great argument.
That is so, oh my God.
Like, mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, I know you said you were an active dreamer before you started having the breast cancer dreams, but you're a dream expert now, I would say. You know the difference between a shamanic dream and a regular dream and the symbolism of dreams. are these all skills you learned because of the enormity of the dreams that you had that led you to diagnosing your breast cancer?
It did. To a degree, I learned quickly to learn my own dream language because my life depended on it, even though I didn't really have to do that, because in my dreams, the monks came into me and they spoke to me just like we're talking, so I didn't really need to have symbolism. But in the book, Dreams That Can Save Your Life, a lot of those people, when they wrote down their dreams, they had to go back and figure them out because a lot of them dealt with symbolism and they
Right.
didn't necessarily know that symbolism, but that's where recurrent dreams come in. You know, it's like if you don't get it the first time, they give you the dream again and again and again. And sometimes they change the symbolism until you finally figure it out and you go to your doctor and you say, I need a second set of tests.
Oh my goodness. It's so wild, the different dreams. And then you talked about you have a section on the warning dreams versus, the more message dreams and your dream guides. Can you tell us more about the dream guides? In your case, it was the monks, but what does that look like for other people? It could be like a loved one, a spirit, or...
It could even be an animal. In the book, there's a man who had a dream. Dana Walden is in the book, and in the dream he's lying in a large field and a crow comes down, and crow, like Edgar Allan Poe and the crow, is often a symbol for death, and it's also a symbol for wisdom. And so the crow comes down, lands on his face, and grabs a worm, pecks into his face and grabs what looks like a worm and pulls it out of his face and eats it and flies away. And then all of these animals come out of the woods. He's lying there on the ground going, this is so gross. This bird is picking a worm out of my nose and eating it. This is turning into a nightmare. And these animals, the big deer and the rabbits and the raccoons, they create a circle around him, just like the numbers on a clock, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which are, just like the magic circle around you. And each one of them comes in and gives him a message and then goes back into the circle. When he wakes up, I would never get the symbolism that a worm being pulled out of my nose and eaten by a crow was cancer. that would not happen. My spirit guides would have to give me a lot of different types of dreams to figure that one out.
Right.
But
can I get it in black and white and print?
Yeah, could you please just explain it to me now? Because now that I'm really nauseous. But he did. He got it because the dream was in his dream language and his spirit guides were explaining it to him in a language he could understand. He went to his doctor. The doctor looked at his nose and said, I don't like what I see there. Went in and he had cancer in his sinuses that was heading for his brain. So I always tell people, we're all born. We are all born with spirit guides and guardian angels. We're their job, and they really take that job seriously. And one of the ways they speak with us and make sure that we stay on the path that we chose to be on when we were born onto the earth plane is through our dreams. Those sacred dream doors are doorways to divine messages, and our dreams are the way our spirit guides, guardian angels, loved ones can come in and make sure that we stay on the right path and live.
That is so cool. I can't remember if I read this in your book or on your website, but you also detailed instructions on how to set your intentions to get to the door in your dream and then to cross through the door.
I did. It's one of the chapters. I don't remember which one, but it actually has the 7 steps in there from using show dream. So what you would do is use it's called an acronym, where you take each letter from the word show and dream and you turn it into complete sentences. So S would be to set your intention. Before you go to sleep, you set your intention, which is part of the law of attraction. If you think about it, everybody's talking about law of attraction. So by setting your dream intention, even if your intention is, I want to remember my dream, I don't even remember dreaming at night. I just wake up in the morning and I don't know what I was doing while my eyes were closed. So maybe that's your intention really early, to just set that intention. And then O is to organize yourself before you go to sleep. It's sort of like setting the table before you have dinner. Organizing yourself before you go to sleep is setting yourself up so that when you do wake up, you can write your dream down without forgetting it. So you want to make sure you've got a piece of paper or a dream journal right next to your bed, a pencil or a pen, or you can use your phone and record your dream right on the phone. And maybe a little flashlight if you're married, or you got your significant other in the room with you. You don't want to wake them up, turn on the light. I gotta write this dream down. That'd be the end of that relationship, right? So, a little flashlight so you can write stuff down. And that's organizing yourself. And then the D is know that you will dream. This is a case of remembering your dreams. Research, dream, not just dream research, but sleep research shows that we have about 7 dreams a night. And we tend to only remember the last dreams. Sometimes the first dreams when you go into your dream state, and the last dream because the others are so deep. So you will dream. It's a case of remembering them. And then the R is remain, to remember. Okay? Remain in your sleep position. Don't just jump out of bed when the alarm goes off and run around the room, because you're going to forget your dream. And that's why you want to be organized before you go to sleep. Just try and wake up slowly, because chances are, if you're not remembering your dreams, it could be because you're on medication that blocks them. But it can also be because you're waking up too quickly. You're going from the 4th basement floor up to the 7th floor like that, and you can't bring it with you. It's too fast. So then comes the E, which is emotion. What parts of the dream created the most emotion for you? You may not be able to remember the whole dream, but maybe you had a black crow fly down, and that was the best part. I forgot to mention the best part of the dream. After the black crow pulled out the worm out of his nose, it crapped in the hole. That would have woke me up right there.
Oh
I would have been,
God.
oh my God. So,
oh yeah,
That would be enough right there for me to be like, okay, something's up.
something's really wrong.
but so
right?
how
And
do you
that's
wake up without? If I had a dream that a crow pulled a worm out of my nose and then pooped in my nose, I think I'd wake up like this, like how do
But you wake up like that and you're remembering, so that's your moment
Yes.
to
uh,
get it all down.
It wakes you right up so you can't forget it by the next morning. You write it all down, and sometimes you'll slide back into that dream and pick it right back up to finish it. So yeah, what is the emotion? I mean, that would be extremely emotional to me, to have some bird poop on my face in the hole it made when it ate the worm. I mean, that would do it. I'd be out of there. I'd be out of that dream. So what are the emotions?
I gotta
And then you
drink to
underline
that.
them. So these dreams, you got to open up a new bottle of wine. Yeah, so that's E. And then A is to add to it. Okay, so now you got the emotion. Now we're going to go back to what we were talking about earlier. What was it during the day? Was it at night? Was it dark in your dream? Was it bright daylight in your dream? Was it raining? Was it sunny? Where were you? Were you alone? Were there animals? Were there people? Start adding. And then the M of So Dream, what do those underlined words you underlined that were the emotional words, what do they mean to you? Because it's your dream, and your dream is speaking to you in your dream language. And nobody else has that language but you. You're speaking with yourself.
So you're saying not only can you set the intention to have, I don't want to say take control of your dream, but to be receptive to getting messages through your dreams, but everybody also has it within them to decode their own dreams. We don't necessarily need an expert like you to decode our own dreams. If we're paying attention, following along, recording things, we can do it ourselves.
Exactly. And that's why when I do decode dreams, like in the book, Dreams That Can Save Your Life, at the end of every dream in the book, I kind of decode the dream as the dream expert, but then Dr. Larry Burke decodes the dream from the research expert. So it's kind of like the doctor and the guinea pig, decode the dream.
I
So,
love that about this book, that you
Yeah.
have both of those insights, because I think that it really highlights what you're trying to say here, is that the spiritual side and the medical side can come together and really do the world's, a large benefit to
exactly.
understanding what's going on in our bodies. So
And so each time I would help with those dreams, I would always say, if this were my dream, because I can only pull from my information and what things mean to me. So I look for things like play on words in dreams. Also the symbolism, what it might mean to me. For instance, a dream just came in to me on email where this woman said she's a twin. And she had this dream where there was a giant snake that came up to her, split in half, and wrapped itself around both her and her sister, which is almost like the Asclepian snake that's around the pole for the doctors. You see the same thing.
Yeah.
And so she said, it just scared me so badly that I woke up from the dream. And now the first thought in my mind when I was writing the dream down was, I need a mammogram. She said, I need a mammogram. And I need my sister to go get one too. So she said she had just had one 6 months earlier, but she called her doctor and said she was having a really bad feeling. And I always tell people this: if you have a bad feeling and you know you need another mammogram or a different type of test, use the P word, pain.
Yeah.
It'll get you whatever you need. Just a pain word.
Yeah.
Don't die because you're not in pain and nobody will give you the test. You've got insurance, you already paid for it. So she did. She had the mammogram and she had the breast cancer.
Oh, that is so wild.
Yeah. So a dream to me would be the Kundalini, the wisdom. And to her, it meant doctor. Get to a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes to show, like, what one thing means to me might not be the same thing that it is to you. And it's really important to pay attention to like in the book, like it was interesting reading, and it, like you were talking about, like really focusing on not always the obvious, but maybe something that just doesn't look like it belongs, and then focusing on what that word might mean.
Mm-hmm.
That's just so crazy.
I feel like I'm racking my brain for every meaningful dream I've had right now and sort of seeing it differently. But do you consider yourself an intuitive also, or do you consider yourself more of like a dream guide, in that you're a dream expert now at this point?
I do have intuitions. I have intuitive hits. I feel when I go into some really old buildings, I can feel if there are spirits in there. The difference between me and a lot of the Ghostbusters you see on TV is I'm respectful to the ghosts because they lived there first. I'm actually the one invading their space. And because they're in a different dimension, it's not like they're going to bump into me. They're in or they're in my area. We're in different dimensions. There's plenty of room, and I find that after a while they're actually I won't be able to find my keys or something, and I'll say, look guys, I need your help. I need the keys. I need to get out of here now. And sometimes I'll just know where to go to find them. And I swear that they'll help me.
That's so cool.
I've never had an evil spirit in a house. I've never been afraid of ghosts, except in the book I think I mentioned when I was little and I was living in Berlin, Germany, and we did have German soldiers that used to march down our hallway at night, and there was an officer that would stand in my doorway and smoke a cigarette and look at me, and he didn't realize I could actually see him. That was the only one that bothered me because he'd just stand there and stare at me and smoke a cigarette, and I could smell the cigarette.
Terrible chills now. I'm like I'm a fangirl of World War II fiction, and I'm just like thinking of all these awful. That's so scary, Kat.
Can we just rewind for a second? And I should have like probably done this earlier, but I was so fascinated when I read that you grew up in Europe, graduated high school in Germany, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then ended up in Keene, New Hampshire,
Mm-hmm.
which is just crazy to me. Like to start anyway. So at what point was it, because you went to school for teaching, right?
I did. I was a special ed teacher for 10 years. I taught the profoundly emotionally disturbed.
Okay.
I think they change the titles of them all the time. They just keep reinventing the title. But yeah.
So at what point did you make the shift from teaching? Was it after your misdiagnosis, or was it before, or were you like with your, with the dream stuff, was it before that, or you really didn't transition into doing this kind of stuff until after that?
I didn't transition into doing the dreams and the book until much later after that. After I was married, my husband made me an offer I couldn't refuse. He paid me more to stay home and just travel with him. So I said, okay. That's what I did. So and the reason I was in Keene, New Hampshire is I chose Murray State University in Murray, Kentucky from Germany because I went to high school in Munich American High School. And my parents were still in Europe when I came back to the States to go to college. So I had to pick a college from there. And since my dad was a Green Beret and they were sending most of them to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, I thought, okay, I'll be really close to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Well, they didn't. They sent him to Fort Devens, Massachusetts. And
Oh
I
my
was in
God.
Kentucky. So I transferred to Keene, New Hampshire, which was a great school. I really loved it there. So I could be closer to my family.
That's awesome.
Uh-huh.
I am curious, how did your husband take all of the dreams? When after the first dream, did you say, "Oh, honey, I have breast cancer. The monk came to me in my dream"?
Well, fortunately, my husband is very spiritual and he's very psychic. And I think I wrote in, I don't know if it was this book or my first book, if I had been married, I think it was my first book, Surviving Cancerland, because we saw 9/11 happen before it happened. I had dreams about it, and the lights would go on in the middle of the night in my room, and the room would be so hot we would have to get out of bed and leave the room. But as soon as we stepped over the threshold, the hallway was cool. But our bedroom smelled like burned coffee. It was awful.
Wow.
And that happened for 2 days before 9/11, and boom, there it was. And I saw the bombs dropping, and I didn't know where they were. I thought they were in our Arizona desert, but they weren't. They were over in the Middle East. So I said in the book, if I had been married at that time to anybody else but my husband, when some of those dreams were happening and things were, the lights were going on and the bedroom was all hot, any other man would have been running down the driveway in the middle of the night, barefoot, looking for a cab to get out of my life.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No, he's very good about it. He understands.
Was he like one of your bigger like advocates when you kept having the dream you need to go?
Oh yeah, because I had to, at that time we were on Cape Cod and we had to drive into Boston, which is like almost an hour and a half drive. And he would drive me in there. He always went in there with me. So it was a lot of driving back and forth, with a dream and trying to convince the doctors to do a second set of tests, which, just goes to prove, okay, the pathology report proved I did have the breast cancer that I was dreaming about. Took me 3.5 months to get that exploratory surgery. What if they had done the second set of tests or given me an MRI?
Right.
When I said it the first month, I might not have been in stage 2 with it in my lymph nodes. I might have been the beginning of stage 1 and only needed a lumpectomy. As it was, I had to have, a large portion of my breast removed. I had to have chemotherapy. I had to have radiation therapy. I wouldn't have needed all that if they had just said, you have insurance, you already paid for it, let's just give you an MRI.
Yeah. What was it like afterwards, after they like finally did it? And I mean, was there any, not that an apology makes up for it, but
Right. Did you even
nothing.
get a, oh, I'm sorry? I mean, that's an apology. Not even a, oh, you were right.
No. It was, I'm sorry, now I've got to get the specialist you requested,
Ugh.
because yeah, you do have breast cancer. And even the second time with the recurrence, they missed the recurrence using mammograms and blood tests and physical exams again. And I had to really self-advocate in the strongest words possible. Basically, I said, I'm not leaving your office till I get that MRI. I don't care if it's not hospital policy. I don't like hospital policy. If I did hospital policy, I'd be dead.
Yeah.
So I'm not leaving till I get that MRI, or you're going to have to call security and drag me out of here by my heels, and I'm going to be on Channel 2 News as you're dragging me out the door. And they said, okay, we'll give you the MRI. All right, get it for her. Took me 2.5 months to get the MRI, and I had a 9 by 11 centimeter tumor, which is basically stage 4.
Oh my gosh.
And that had him running for the hills. A lot of my medical reports disappeared, but it didn't matter. I have copies of everything.
Good for you.
Disappeared?
Yeah, we can get copies of them. It didn't. I would never have sued them. Never. That was never ever in my mind, because I knew that if I did that, that they would slap a gag order on me, and I wouldn't be able to help any other women. My books would not be allowed to be written.
Wow. Well, I know that you are definitely helping people out there with your book. So thank you for everything that you're doing and sharing your story and all of these stories of people like you that are self-advocating and getting the treatment that they need.
Yeah, that's really important, to stand in your power and speak your truth. Your body, especially women. Women are really intuitive when it comes to their bodies. And if someone's not taking you seriously, tell them again a little louder. Don't take no for an answer. Don't be dismissed.
So where does this work bring you now? Obviously, you're still working on your book and doing interviews. Are you part of any groups as far as, like, I don't want to say support groups, but are you part of other groups of women or men that have self-diagnosed themselves through dreams? What are you doing with your dream work now?
Well, Dr. Larry Burke and I are presenters at the IASD, which is the International Association for the Study of Dreams. So we do present at the IASD, and we got quite a few stories for the second book. I'm working on the book proposal for the second book now.
Oh, yay.
And because Dr. Larry Burke's doing his second dream research now with Duke University. So they gave him the okay to do the research, and he's doing the paperwork on it. So for the book proposal, we're not going to be able to actually do the full chapter on his dream research, because it has to go into the medical journals first, and then we can take all of that information and put it in the second book. But I hope to have the book proposal done by the end of the next month, which would be May, and then my agent will send it out to the same publisher who published the first book, Dreams That Can Save Your Life.
And
so we really like them.
Press.
Yes.
They're different of inner traditions now.
Yes.
Independent company.
So we're going to send it because, Inner Traditions and Finhorn treated us so well. They were a fabulous publisher. So, and they actually have right of refusal on our next book anyhow. So I'll send it to them, and hopefully they will want it. We're going to have different stories in there, and we're adding. Are you ready for this?
Oh.
We're adding.
Are we the first to know, Kat?
Yes. I just finished talking to the woman today. The woman who is in charge of Male Breast Cancer Coalition is going to have some stories for me for the second book.
Wow.
And there's a whole group of men who are dressed in pink, because real men wear pink, who had breast cancer, and their dreams diagnosed their breast cancer.
Wow.
Oh, that's
because
so
they don't go for mammograms.
yeah.
Right.
How
Oh my
neat
God.
to give them a platform like that too.
Yes.
I don't know if you're familiar. There's this new sitcom that on I think it's on ABC, but it's called
Million Little Things.
Yeah, A Million Little Things. And one of the main characters is a man who has breast cancer, and you kind of
Oh,
watch his whole journey through accepting the breast cancer and not really knowing, where it fits in his masculinity because it is
yeah, it's like a
primarily a
woman's
disease that
cancer.
affects women. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh, I can't wait to check it out.
I know, that's so exciting. I don't know if like using the word exciting is the right word because but you know
Yeah,
what
I
I mean.
understand. Yeah, but we're bringing this to the level of consciousness in the world. There are men with breast cancer, and now their wives, their mothers, their sisters are taking their brothers, their fathers, their uncles, and their boyfriends for breast cancer treatment. And so we're going to dedicate a whole section to men who had dreams that diagnosed their breast cancer and went
That's
through
That's so
treatment.
amazing.
cool. Wow.
That is so cool.
It's astonishing. I feel like my mind is just, ooh.
I know. Do you do you get a lot of people that reach out to you and are like, all right, give you the whole story. Here's what it is. Tell me what it means.
They do, because I have a radio show. I actually have two. I have a podcast like yours.
Yes,
The
if you
Cat
could
Cannabis
actually,
Show.
this is a perfect, if
Yeah.
you could tell us where people can find you on those.
It is the Cat Cannabis Show. You can Google it, and it's on New Earth TV. And yes, and you can watch me, and we have people on there who have their dreams, but also I have an hour-long radio show on Dream Visions 7 Radio, and people send me their dreams and emails because they're too shy to come on the show to tell me their dreams, so they just send them to me, which is fine, and I read them on the show and go over what their dreams are for them. And if you're interested in getting my book, it's on Amazon. And so you can go to Amazon, you can go to Inner Traditions and get it. It's also on Simon and Schuster. We have a page on Simon and Schuster because they're the distributor. So let's get much better than that. I mean, it's like we're
It's
spoiled rotten.
available anywhere books are available. And even, if you want to get it at your local bookstore or at the library, you just go in and request it and they can order it for you.
Yes.
And it's also, you can get it on Audible. So people who don't have enough time to read, if you have time to listen. So.
It's the first birthday for the book is this month. It came out on the 12th, a year ago. And as a birthday present, all in this first month of its first birthday, it got the Nautilus Book Awards. It got I'm like, gosh, what's left? Happy birthday to you.
So awesome.
It's so cool. I'm so glad. How neat. Well, we shared with our viewers that you were coming on. And
this was the one when we did our introduction of our show and we threw out some of the ideas. This was like definitely one of the episodes that people were most excited so far to listen to.
Yeah. Well, and so if you have time, would you like to interpret a couple of dreams for our viewers?
Oh, I'd love to. And when you're reading them to me, I'm just going to be writing down the words that elicit the most emotion so that we can go from there. Okay. So if you see me writing, it's not that I'm ignoring you and doing emails.
Devin, do you want to do the one that we got via DM?
Sure. Yeah, there were a couple that came in. One was kind of just like a generalization, but
I can ask about that one while you pull the other one up.
Oh, I have it. I have it written down. Okay, so somebody wrote in and said they have this reoccurring dream where they're driving down a hill and trying to brake but can't seem to stop. They always wake up just before the crash happens. And when they wake up, their foot is physically sore. Obviously, they assume while they're sleeping, they're trying to brake that hard. What does this mean?
They probably knocked the footboard off the head. Okay, so what a great dream. First of all, they're driving. So that means they're in a car. So this has to do with their life. Your car is always your life.
Okay.
If you're in
I'm going to take some notes too, just so.
Okay. If you're in a bus, that's a temporary mode of transportation. You don't own it. But if you're in your car,
any kind of public transportation, like if you're on a plane or a boat, okay.
right. But this is their car, and they're driving down. They're not ascending. So they're coming down a hill, and they wake up just before the crash. But what's most important about this dream is it's recurring. That means they've had this dream before, and they're not getting the message. So my question to you is, who's in the car with you? Where do you think you're going? And you're headed for a crash in your life. What's going on in your life? Who's in your life with you? Could it be your job? Could it be your relationship? Could it be your health? Start looking at those things. Start writing down your dreams, because you can go into your past dreams and get more information concerning this recurring dream, and you'll probably find your answer in there.
Wow.
So interesting.
We had another viewer write in sort of similar to that. It wasn't a dream, but they said that they've had sleep paralysis as of recently. Do you do any work with that? Does that mean anything, or is that like go talk to your medical doctor about your sleep paralysis?
Oh, they're having sleep paralysis? They're having leg paralysis during their sleep paralysis?
Well, as they're waking, yes.
As they're waking. That's kind of, that happens to people a lot when they're first waking up. They will have a paralysis because they're coming out of the different levels of sleep so quickly. And it's okay. It just is really disconcerting. But if it would make them feel better, sure, go and have a checkup with your doctor and make sure that your spine, that you don't have some problems with your spine, because that would affect your legs. And the other thing is, usually in a dream, when your legs are not working correctly, you look for the play on words in the dream and also the play on words within the picture of that dream. And your legs are your support system. How is your support system in your life not working well? How is it not being supportive? How is it that it's causing you to be paralyzed in your life?
Well, speaking of paralysis, wait till you listen to this dream.
Mm-hmm.
This one is creepy.
I love creepy. That fits me perfectly.
I'm just going to read it. I got it via email, and it's like a paragraph long. So.
Okay.
I've been a manager at a family-owned company for around 20 years, so you can imagine we all work together closely at times. Mm-hmm. Recently, I had a dream that the entire company was lined up outside a local small-town store on Main Street. Outside the store stood the company's owner. He was handing out life jackets and floating devices to each of the employees. I was at the end of the line, and he ran out of life jackets before he got to me. Then all of a sudden, a huge truck came down the road in front of the store. He walked right out in the middle of the road with his arms up in the air and out to the side as if he was invincible. I yelled, "No!" As I saw that, the truck was about to hit him. I ran to him after the truck drove away. Oh, I think there's a typo. Sorry. The truck hit him. And I ran out, and the truck drove away, and he was still alive. His face was distorted, and his legs broken. He was very beat up. It was gruesome and vivid. I woke up immediately and gasped for air. I don't know if he died. I don't know what the dream means. Help! That's how she ended it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's important to remember that most of the people in our dreams are aspects of ourselves. And that's another reason why you want to write down your dreams. And if you get people's names, underline those names, because when I was going through my treatment, I met a lot of my inner selves in my dreams, and they did have names. And I would see them over and over in my dreams. And they were aspects of myself helping myself through that very difficult time. So he is a manager. He's managing all these people in this business, the business of his life. And one of the first things I would ask is what happened to him when he was 2? Because this might, the number 20 is really the number 2. What happened in your life when you were 2 years old? Think back to that time. Life jackets are being handed out because they're about to go underwater. You see, the business, everything it could possibly be going underwater and drowning. So this man who walks out in front of a truck, his face, at face value, he's distorted. And again, we have broken legs. What he was, his support system ended up getting shattered. So this dream is quite possibly a warning dream saying you need to take a closer look at your business because you're about to be hit with a wave. You could go underwater. We look at the play on words. Yeah. Businesses go under. And so life jackets are being handed out. And then somebody just steps right in because they think they are invincible and they think nothing can bring them down. They're hit by the truck and their support system is shattered.
Oh, that's scary, Kat.
Wow.
That's a scary dream.
Wow.
Well, it is. It's a warning dream, and that's why he keeps having it. That's why it's recurrent.
Wow.
Take a look at your business. What's going on in your business? Who is this person that stepped out in front of the truck? Was it you? Was it somebody else? Why do they need life jackets? Why are they lined up outside? What's going on inside the building?
The person who stepped out in front of the truck was the president of the company, and the dreamer is a manager at the company.
Okay, so how is that president of the company a part of him? How is there, because if everybody's in the dream and everybody's a part of the dreamer, what aspects of these other people does he also have? And how does that play into what's happening in the business, which is happening in his life? They're all under the same roof.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's heavy. I'm sure they're going to appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had a question, do you have one that you have a question about?
Yeah, I was going to share one of my own personal ones.
Okay, me too. You go first because I've been talking a lot the last few minutes.
So I haven't had it in a while, but and actually, like, thinking back, and of course, obviously, you said you dream, you just might not remember. I haven't remembered a dream in a really long time, except for a few nights ago. But anyway, so my dad passed away, it'll be 13 years this year, 13 years ago. And I remember after he passed, like, I remember feeling like I just want to dream about him. I want to have that. And I couldn't. And I remember, like, I would go to bed at night and I would talk to him and I would say, please, like, I just want to see you. I just want to talk to you. So it was a couple months after he passed and I had a dream and he was killed in a car accident. I had a dream where my dream started like at the beginning of the day and it was the day that he died. And I knew that he was going to be in this accident. And I did everything in my power to, like, totally change the day and change, like, the events and how they progressed throughout the day so that he wouldn't be in his vehicle at that same time in that place. Mm-hmm. And I successfully deterred him from the accident, only to find out the next day that he had cancer and he died like 2 days later of the cancer, not the accident.
In your dream?
In my dream.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be, we would always, that's how my dream would always end, where he would you know, I wouldn't tell him like, oh, I knew you were going to be in this accident, so I changed the way things were going to go. And it would always end with, he would tell us that he had cancer, and then it would like fast forward to a few days later and we were at his funeral, like the same funeral, but a few days later. And I had it like reoccurring for the longest time. And I don't really remember when it stopped, but I don't really dream about him anymore, and haven't for a really long time.
And
Which,
have you dreamed about him lately?
not really. I did. My daughter is 11 months old, and I remember shortly after she was born, I was having dreams where he was coming to me, and, you know, I have 2 kids, and he would talk to me. Actually, and the same thing kind of happened after my son was born too, where he would come into the dreams and he would meet them and, you know, love on them and tell me how proud he was and, you know, how much, you know, he would have loved them. But it was the strangest thing for a while, how it was just that one, and it was the same exact dream every single time I had it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, when he came into your dreams after your children were born, how did he look to you? Did he look any different at all?
Not really.
He looked exactly the same as when...
Like how I remember him.
Mm-hmm. He didn't look younger or older, or...
No, I would, yeah, you know, he looked great. I mean, he was a very vain man and always cared very much about how he looked. So he was very well done up.
Okay. Okay. So that's a very interesting dream. First of all, you've got the number 13, that he's showing up after 13 years. You've got the number 1, which is a strong, the power of 1, but also the 3, which is the power of 3, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. It's a sacred number. It's also a shamanic number. When you put them together, you get 4, which is double balance, dual balance. And so what I find interesting is when you're having your dream where you're changing the ending of the dream, are you aware that you're dreaming while you're dreaming? Are you aware that you're changing the ending?
Yes.
So you're having a lucid dream. That's called a lucid dream. And what you can always change. I call lucid dreams psychotherapy, that it's really cheap. You don't have to pay a psychotherapist. You can change the ending of the dream and change your life forever. So what this dream, if I were having that dream, what the dream would be telling me is, no matter how I tried to change that ending, the outcome would be the same, because it was his time to go. So the choice was, would he go quickly in a car accident or a lingering slow death? What choice would you really have him have? And he chose the car accident. Now, the fact that he's coming back to you and he looks great, and he's coming back when you're having your children, that's more than just a dream. That's called a visitation. And that's why your dad's actually coming back and saying, look, you know, I'm just over here in this other dimension, and your kids are great. I love them, and I'm only a dream away.
Oh, I'm going to start crying.
I know. I'm like internally taking some nice, big, long, deep breaths. That's comforting. And I mean, you know, for as long as I was having that dream after he passed, that was kind of the way that I was explaining it to or, you know, justifying it to myself. Exactly like you said, it obviously, you know, was his time, and, you know, that sort of thing. So, but I do you know, thinking about the recent ones as a visitation as opposed to a dream. I like that. It's very comforting. And like going back to like when you were talking about, you know, being in tune with spirits and, you know, being okay with it as opposed to being creeped out by it, how a lot of people are creeped out. Mm-hmm. I feel like I used to be a creeped out person until he passed. And then, you know, I find it, you know, getting those signs, and I find it very comforting. And, you know, it's like anytime I smell like vanilla cigar smoke, and it randomly will happen sometimes, like I'll be in my car by myself driving, and I will just get this, you know, whiff of the sweet cigar smell, and it reminds me of him. And I always say to myself, oh, here he is visiting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
that's
like
exactly what it is. He's letting you know that he's in the car with you, so you're not going to have an accident.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's almost like your dream is, and the fact that you're having the lucid dream and you're trying to change the ending. It's almost like that movie Groundhog Day, where no
Yeah.
matter what he did during the day, the ending was the same, because
Ultimately the
that's what it
same.
was supposed to be. And so the real message was to accept, not to try and change, because you can't. It wasn't your
Right.
life to begin with. But the fact that he looked so great, that tells me that this is a visitation. It's not just a longing that's creating a dream for you. It's much more than that. And it's one of the things that our loved ones do to help heal our heart. And they come back and they say, look, I'm fine. I look great. I'm dancing. I'm happy. And I still love you. And we're only a dream away.
Right. And I almost feel like, because like you said, like reoccurring is often like a sign of a warning. Like now, thinking back on it after hearing you say that, like I feel like maybe that was like his way of keep having it, like, hey, we gotta get over this, we gotta move beyond that. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Thank
He's
you.
saying, the kids are great. I love you. I love my grandkids. I'm here for them. I know that they're there. And remember, sometimes people don't realize that when our loved ones pass over, they grieve for us as much as we grieve for them. And so sometimes they can't come back to us and see us right away in dreams until they've gone through their therapy on the other side with their spirit guides, because it would just be too heartbreaking for them, because love is something that you can take with you, and it will bring your loved ones back.
I never thought about that.
I'm sure you know the book, The Dreamer's Book of the Dead by Robert Voss. Do you know that book?
I do.
My father also died 4 years ago, but my first daughter died. She'd be 2.5 now. And anyway, I had a message dream somewhat similar. And I remember I woke up that morning and I knew it. I knew it was a message. And it wasn't one of those things that I needed to decode. I knew. I woke up and I freaked out though, because I thought, oh my God, my dad's talking to me through this dream. He's telling me that he has Elizabeth with him and blah, blah, blah. And I went and I got a copy of that book and I read it in like 2 hours. Like I needed to soak it all in. But it was one of the things that they talk about is if you wake up and you feel as though it's a message and not just a passing dream, then it's your loved one coming to tell you. Whatever.
And isn't it interesting that you had it 4 years ago? You had it 13. When you add the numbers together, they both come out 4.
Oh, no, my dream was only 2 years ago, I guess.
What was the 4?
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
My dad died 4 years ago, and then my first baby.
Oh, yeah. So your dad died 4 years ago, and your dad passed 13, so your numbers are still 4.
Oh, it's true.
Double balance. It was meant to be.
Yeah, of course.
It was time. And remember, when we're all born, we come onto this earth plane with our game card, and we know exactly when we're going to leave. And we're not going to leave 1 second before then. We're not going to stay 1 second longer.
Oh, Kat, that was some deep stuff.
Let's
talk a sex dream really quick, just to lighten the mood before we
sex dreams.
Tell us, why are people having sex dreams? I asked people to send us their sex dreams. Nobody sent us sex dreams.
You know what I think it is too? I think that, because we talked about, we would try to cover a lot of different, I think a lot of people were worried about sending them and just were like, oh, they're going to talk about it. I know they'll bring it up. I don't need to say anything.
I mean, I'll give an example of one. A hypothetical one. What does it
this isn't your dream by any stretch of the imagination, right?
What does it mean when a an ex is not an ex-boyfriend. It could be like an ex-fling or something. Like, what happens when you're having relations in your dream with an ex, but you're not hung up on your ex? Like, why do they keep coming in your dream if you're not thinking about them in your conscious?
You mean if you're like in a committed relationship?
Yeah, and
but
it
you're
could be like years, like if it's someone from college or high school or something, and you're in your 30s. And I've talked to friends that this happens to them also. Like, I know that it's happened to me. Obviously, here we are, I'm talking about it, but I'm not the only one. Like, I know it's happened to other people.
It happens a lot.
Yes.
And I'm actually going to be on CBS, I think, next month talking about that. And they wanted me to do it last month, February. And I was like, well, okay, but I wasn't able to do it. But it's very normal to have that, and it means a lot of different things. First of all, it could be that something in that previous relationship that you had was either really good or really bad, and it's something that you need to focus on now because you could have recurrence in your relationship now. And it could also be unfinished business. Depending on how you guys ended badly, what did you learn from it? What would you like to see in your relationship now concerning that? What would you never ever want to see again? So it's like going back to school, but it's a little bit like going back to sex school or relationship school. And another thing is, when we have dreams about sex, quite often the people in the dreams are ourselves. If we're all about, if most of ourselves are in the dreams, it is a coming together of our different selves. Imagine Sybil suddenly coming together in the dream, but in this case, the sex has to do with intimacy, more intimacy than the actual act. It's on a more emotional level. So you are integrating with yourself on a level that is a learning level, but also a learning situation that you can bring into your relationship now.
Oh.
What was it about that boyfriend that either you really liked or really didn't like, and how is that being triggered now? Something might be triggering it, and maybe you don't want to make the same mistakes again now, or you want to make sure that that mistake from that previous relationship doesn't integrate into your relationship now.
That's good, because that could give a lot of a good peace of mind, I feel like, because I feel like you easily jump to the, why am I, Maria said, like,
why am I cheating on my husband?
Right, I know,
yes.
So I feel guilty, but really it's you're saying, no, like, take a minute, take a step back, look at yourself.
Look at what's going on. What triggered it?
That's good. Well, so to all of my other friends I've been talking about sex dreams with in the past.
There you go.
Now you guys know too.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's a good thing.
Look at yourselves.
Yes, it's a good thing. It's okay. Some people have, they have dreams, sexual dreams about their bosses, and then they're all freaked out. But the truth of the matter is, your boss is the person who's like in charge of your work life. So what is it that you need to integrate into in your work life? What needs to be shifted there, and how is that happening? How is that being drawn into your home life, into your sexual life at home now? Has nothing to do with your real boss, hopefully.
Yeah, well, thankfully I haven't had one of those.
So there's no need to go run into a therapist. You're fine.
Well, Kat, thank you so much for joining us. Can you just let our viewers know where to find you on Facebook and your website? I'm just going to hold up your book cover once more. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Before we let you go, we have this rite of passage that we do on our show. We've been
yes.
Do we have to sing?
No.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to, you can sing.
That's okay. We don't want to lose your audience.
No, so we call our show Our Weekly Obsession because we like to talk about things that we are currently obsessed with. And you are on the show. One thing that we've been obsessed with and looking into is dream interpretation. So we just want to know what your current obsessions are. So like it could be a song, it could be food, it could be a sport, it could be a handbag that you own, anything.
I think my current obsession is getting a kitten for my Siamese cat, because we lost one of our kittens and the one that's left is very, very lonely. And so
Aw.
my obsession has been to find a kitten for that cat, and I think I found one.
Oh, yay.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So remember, your obsession, whatever your obsession is, it's part of your law of attraction. So you had this obsession with dreams and you attracted me.
I love that.
I do love that. And actually, before you tell people where they can find you, I had somebody, when I was talking about doing this episode, ask me, they wanted to know some of the most common symbols. Let me see if I can explain this right. So like, what would you say would be like the top 5 symbols, or you know what I mean, right? That might come into a dream.
Losing your teeth or nursing a baby.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So one is cars. That's your life. So if you see yourself in a car, the dream's about you, not somebody else, unless there's somebody in the car with you. Another one is your teeth falling out. That's real.
That's, that did.
Yeah, so that usually means that you're having trouble expressing yourself to somebody who you view as being a strong presence in your life. Quite often women will have their teeth fall out when they're talking to their mother.
Oh,
yeah.
Gosh.
So, your teeth falling out. Another one is your hair falling out. Your hair falls out when you change your thoughts. Your hair are extensions of your thought in your dreams. So if you suddenly see that one side of your hair is straight, the other side is really curly, it means that you're almost like in a tug of war with yourself when it comes to one type of straight type of thinking and another type of not straight thinking. So those are thoughts. That's a third one. Another one is being pregnant. Even men have dreams of being pregnant, because when you have a dream about being pregnant, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a baby, although you may. And we're going to have dreams in this next book coming through that are about women who dreamed the sex of their baby and the eye color. And the baby came before they even knew they were pregnant.
So the next book is not solely based around cancer.
No, it's not.
Dream.
It's going to be dreams that were validated. And so a lot of times you will have a dream about being pregnant when you're getting ready to do a new project. Whatever that project might be, you're giving birth to a new idea and you're going to grow that idea. And so it often comes through to you in dreams. And then I think the last one is dreaming that you are totally naked. It would be a tie between being totally naked or missing a class or a test at school.
I have that dream all the time.
Yeah.
Show up to to a conference and I haven't done any preparation. I don't know anything about the material I'm presenting, or
that's
I have to
real normal.
Show up to the exam and I've never even been to the class. What does that mean? Tell us.
It just basically means you're stressed right now. You feel that you're unprepared, and it's normal, and yet you get through it. You find a way in the dream to get through it. And I think everybody has that dream. You're in the hallway of the school in your locker. You open up your locker. You're supposed to be at a class. You don't remember where the class is, what the class is. You've never been there before, and you missed all the big tests. So what are you going to do now? And that's life.
I have that dream like once a month, I think.
Well, I mean, and is being naked the same thing as the test, or is being naked something different?
Being naked means that you're not allowed to hide your real you to yourself. We're always naked to ourselves. And so when you start dreaming about yourself walking around totally naked, it means that you are not trying to hide anything. Even though you feel uncomfortable, you feel like everybody in the dream is seeing the real you.
Wow.
I feel like I need a vacation now. Well, Kat, it has been such a pleasure. You're welcome back anytime,
Oh,
especially
thank
Yes.
you.
when it comes out. Oh my gosh, we can't wait.
Oh, yes. And so to answer your other question, you can go to Facebook and go to Kathleen O'Keefe-Kanavos, author, speaker, and like my page there. And our other page is Dreams That Can Save Your Life. We have a Facebook page. The Twitter
Awesome.
page is Kat Kanavos. I just opened Instagram. So I know I just
Oh,
started
you did?
Instagram.
Yay.
Social media too.
Yeah.
Well, all of this will be linked into our Facebook post and our Instagram post, people, and we'll
And
do it
I'm
here on YouTube.
and I'm assuming if they want to find both of your shows, you probably have those linked on the Facebook page.
Yes, they're linked on the Facebook page, and they can just Google them, click on
Okay.
those links, and go there. But if they go to dreamvision7radio.com, they have a whole page on there for me. You
It's
just click
very
it.
easy to find. It's a very nice looking page too. I was just on there a
Thank
couple
you.
weeks ago. Looks nice.
Thank you. Well, it was such fun being on your show.
Oh,
This was a lot of fun.
Yes.
it was
No,
so
thank
So
fun.
you
I
so
would love to come
much.
back anytime. Tell
Oh,
your little peeps to write their dreams down, especially the sexy dreams. The
yes.
worse the dream, the better the message. The crazier the dream, the better the message.
Thank
Do
you for
you
telling them.
Yes,
Tell
yes.
them
Do
that these
you
are
ever turn anybody away?
Never. Never
Never.
ever dream. Every dream is it's a gift to me. I love them, and there's always a wonderful message in there. I've never even your scariest nightmares are your best dreams. I did do the scariest nightmares for October on CBS out here. Bring me your scariest dreams because it's probably going to be your best message. How can you forget that?
Wow.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, I'm gonna start keeping a dream journal.
Yeah.
Good.
That's awesome.
I need to focus on not jumping right up
Come
and
up
just,
slowly. Yeah.
yes,
Hit the snooze
yes,
button. Yeah.
yes,
Well, Kat, we won't keep you. We know you've got a fun dinner party coming up. But thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
yes.
Thank
Thank
you
you
again.
so much.
Yes. So we'll plan to do this again sometime. We'll have another
Yes,
party. And this time I'll
please.
bring my wine.
Definitely.
Okay.
Perfect.
Sure.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Hey, we're back.
Back.
It was intense, huh?
It was so intense. I think yeah, it was not, I think a lot of it left us a little wow and speechless.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know which mountain we're supposed to tackle first. Like, do we talk about the fact that she had to advocate so strongly for herself and that if she hadn't, she would have died? Do we talk about the dreams? Like, where do you want to start?
I mean, yeah, I think that's a good place to start because obviously, had her doctors listened to her initially, and she even, spoke of that a little bit, things could have been very different in terms of, she talked about when she got her diagnosis, they could have caught it much earlier and she could have simply had, more, not that they're simple procedures, but, it wouldn't have been
A less invasive procedure, at
right,
least, or maybe something
right.
that she just treated with low dose.
Yeah.
I mean, I
And
don't even want to say I don't know that much about it, but
yeah, I think that it's kind of messed up. She kept saying, I've already, I have the insurance, I've already paid for this. Why can't you just do the next step? And then when we asked her about after the fact, if she got any sort of apology, not that an apology makes up for it. And she just said it was, nope, here's your next, wait, you do need to see the specialist. It's so, and I
it's
think what blows my mind even more is the amount of people that are out there that have had the same.
yeah. I thought what was very interesting too is I never have thought of it like this, and it makes total sense. But the way she was talking about the guy with the crow and the worm, how everybody has their own dream language, and how messages come to, everybody has dreams, obviously. And like she said, obviously there are a lot of people that have had similar experiences where they've dreamt of an illness and it comes true. But those dreams don't look the same. Not
Right.
everybody had not everyone is going to be warned of their breast cancer by a team of monks. you know, like you
Right.
might be warned of something by that crow or whatever it is that makes sense to you. And I think when you were sharing the dream you had about your dad, I just, first of all, like, I thought it was so brave that you shared it. But secondly, like, that was your dream language, you know, like you needed to have it, like you said, multiple times. You had to be able to like kind of control the dream and come back. You had to physically hear your dad say certain things, you know.
Right. Right. And, you know, I think like, not that like I'm a dream interpretist by any means, but I mean, I think they're like everything she said, like nailed it. And I think some of that stuff I kind of assumed myself, but at the same time, like to have her really go into the specific parts and, you know, the number breakdowns, and
The number thing was
it's
wild.
just crazy. And yeah, she just was such a sweet and I don't know, like I feel like, I mean, obviously we talked for so long, like I feel like I could have sat there and talked for a way
Yeah.
long time with her.
Oh,
But
me too. I mean, she's definitely a very genuine person. But I think like when you were saying back to I'm having like total mom brain right now. You were talking about, that you're not a dream interpreter, but when you woke up, you felt something. And I think so many of us don't want to chalk up a feeling of intuitiveness as being intuition, whereas you just kind of want it to be something less than it is, and, you know, something less woo-woo, I guess, in a sense.
yeah,
So I know I'll dismiss things as like, well, that's not possible.
right,
It's just me that it happened, you know. But I think
right,
a large part of her message is do not ignore those things. Like if you wake up from a dream feeling like you're getting a message from a loved one, you most likely are. Like you are relished in that message. And
you know, and it just like the whole thing too speaks to the, you know, and who knows, this could stir up some stuff with people, because I'm sure there are believers and non-believers out there.
it's happening again.
You're
Sorry.
giving the eye.
Yeah.
We can, leave your thing right there. We can see the door. No. You don't even have to move your computer.
Oh, right
There's
here
a
in the
there's a
window. Okay.
reflection.
I
Yeah,
see
we
it.
can see it. So every time somebody walks by, I can see it.
Yeah. Sorry,
Um,
guys.
it just like her whole, when she started going into like the whole, like, that's a visit, that's a, you know, it's just, there's something like, and like I even had, you know, said this, you know, in our, or maybe I thought it, I don't know. Anyway, um, we are so quick to jump to dreams and things being creepy, and, you know, which obviously like a lot of them can
Some
be,
of them
but
can be, yeah, for sure.
for me personally, when I get more dreams like that one or along those lines, like I'm going to now take more of a comforting approach
Yeah.
from it versus a quick to jump to a why, what does this mean, why does this keep it, like I'm just gonna embrace it and take it
Yeah.
as a sign. But I mean, obviously, like some dreams you would not be able to do that with. But I also found it so interesting too, because like you said, like what my dream is might not mean necessarily the same thing. Like it's so important, like she said, to really look at the dream and pull things out, because a lot of times it's like with the crow, the bird, the worm, whatever
Yeah.
it was, like
The symbolism is much different for
exactly
everybody.
for everybody. And
When we were, keep going.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, when you were talking about the dream you had with your dad, I have had a very similar dream of, as far as like my dad goes and my daughter Elizabeth, and I only ever had one though. Like I've had two dreams about my dad, but I just think it's so interesting how you had this recurring lucid dream. And I think that also kind of highlights how it's so different for everybody, and not just for the dreamer, but the person that's communicating with you, you know, like the people that are coming this sounds, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud and it's recording going out to the internet, but like the people on the other side that are contacting us are also very different people. And so of course, like those relationships are different and the way they're going to talk about things are, they're out there again. Sorry. But I don't know. I just, like, obviously your dad knew that you needed this message multiple times or whatever. Maybe that's how you were really going to believe that that's what was happening, you know?
Right. And then, like, you know, she said on the other side, like, it's a healing process for them, and
Right.
like the amount of grief that they have as well.
And the amount of time it
sometimes
to be
takes
able to do
to,
that.
yeah, it's just so crazy. And like,
I just got chills.
I know. I'm so glad that we got a chance to talk to her, because she really, it just, the gift. I truly think like it should be considered a gift, because like I said, she started as a special ed teacher. I mean, she
Yeah.
born and raised in Europe. Her family was a military family. She graduated from high school in Germany, and then her dad was getting transferred, and like she ends up in college in New England, and it just, you know, she worked as a special ed teacher in Florida, I think, for I don't know, did she say 10 years or whatever
I
it
don't
was?
remember something, but
And then she ends up with this, you know, this whole thing. And it was interesting to for her to say, like, she always felt like she had some, like, an extra intuitiveness, but it was that it took this long and something this big for her to really, like, okay, this is, like, I have this ability. And
I think that in itself can be a very encouraging kind of thing, that in the face of tragedy or difficulties, you know, very beautiful things can happen to you too. And it's easy to forget that when you're in the depths of despair, you know, that something positive can come from
right,
something that you obviously is.
right. And I think too, like, so like the dreams that we had her interpret, aside from mine, were kind of deep.
Oh yeah, like the we should go into the other stuff because I feel like we could talk about your dad's dream forever, and like one day I want to share my dream, but you know, I think those dreams in themselves we could sit here and talk about for 3 hours.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about the dreams that she interpreted also, so I'm glad you brought them up. Which one should we do, the car going down the hill or the life jacket one? Because those are both freaking scary.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we shouldn't talk too much about them, just because
Leave that to the
they're,
dreamer.
yeah, they're not ours. So hopefully the people who sent them in will watch and they'll take note. But I
Thank
mean, I
you
think
to
we
those
can,
people
like,
that did share their dreams. Holy
what?
cow. I said thank you to those people that did share the dreams,
Yeah.
because especially those dreams were so good.
Yeah. So good. And I think, like, Kat did a very good job of laying out if that were, because I think that's important too. Like, and I noticed how she kept saying that. And in this book, when she,
Yeah.
you know, interprets other dreams.
You
Yeah.
say that were my dream.
Yeah. She interprets as if it were hers, bringing like strong emphasis on it, if it were hers, and that it could be interpreted many different ways if
Right.
it's not. So I think she did a really good job at asking the question. So like the dreamer needs to sit, and it was like with the car one, I took some notes.
Oh,
With the car one, she, you know, is it your car or is it somebody else's car?
right.
Because that makes a difference.
And are you in the
And
car alone or is someone with
someone
you?
else in the car. A car typically symbolizes life. And yeah, where are you going when you're driving the car? And like, it's so cool when you asked her about like the process of, you know, pulling things, and like what to do, how you should do it. And when she started talking about the dream journals and all that stuff, like, it's so cool to think that you can actually
Interpret your own dreams.
interpret your own dreams, but you have the ability to almost change it, or like if there's a piece missing, to like when you're talking to yourself before you go to sleep in order to try to have that,
Oh, the lucid dreaming and setting
yeah, have that dream again, to where like if there is somebody in the car with you but you can't see them, to like somehow
oh
talk
my God,
yourself into like seeing that person, to try to figure out, you know,
who they
it just,
are.
yeah, who they are. And
Kat gives her method for that, but I mean, if you got really into lucid dreaming, there are books, there are articles, I'm sure there are YouTube tutorials. Like lucid dreaming is a big, big thing. Some people use the palm of your hand before you go to sleep. Like you'll look into the palm of your hand and visualize what it is you want to see in your dream before you go to sleep, and you're supposed to do that until you fall asleep. And then Kat said, you know, like you could even write, didn't she say you could even write something down and put it under your pillow? And
yeah,
anyway, there are like a multitude of different ways to do it, and whatever works for you. The thing I wanted to ask her that we didn't ask was, I don't know about you per se, but I have heard, and I have had this experience, that as a child it's easier to lucid dream than it is as an adult, and I want to know why. But anyway, that's for next time, because she is going to come next time.
come back, yeah.
Cool. And next time, feel free to really share your dreams with us. They are anonymous. I was really hoping to get like a juicy, sexy dream, which is why I kind of made one up. But
Well,
it was
and
not
I feel
dreams.
like maybe if people watch this episode and they'll see like just how she kind of pulls it apart, it's like maybe more people will be more apt to, because I know like when we first announced like this was one of our planned episodes, there were a lot of people that, yeah, specifically were like, oh, I can't wait for that. So maybe kind of once they see the format and how Kat was, maybe they'll be more apt to share, because I hope so. Because yeah, like the one that you explained, it's just like there's so many different pieces to it and angles
Oh,
to
the
it.
one
And
with
I,
the life jackets.
yeah, and I really hope that whoever submitted that will listen, and I hope that they get some sort of, maybe not answers, but maybe answers. I mean,
Or maybe just an idea for a different perspective of how to look at that dream.
right.
I think a lot of people are embarrassed to share their dreams because they don't want people to think that their subconscious is their conscious. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Well, and I think you took one for the team by putting
Thank
yourself,
you.
yeah. Yeah.
Like not to
Maria
keep
totally took one for the team. I think this is a perfect opportunity for us to say, you specifically, personally, are not dreaming about exes. Like,
I know, like and not to keep harping on the sex dream, but I know that a lot of people have sex dreams because like we've been friends for a long time. It's something that comes up in conversation sometimes. And
right. And I think this just goes to like our whole point
like
of
my
this. And
husband has told me about his weird sex dreams sometimes. Oh my God. Not that he has strange, but
yeah,
like
no,
sometimes you might have an intimate dream where you wake up thinking like, oh my gosh, or like, oh, another kind of theme too is like when you have a dream that your partner is intimate with someone else
else.
and you
Yeah.
wake up and you're actually
Yes. Oh,
angry.
that
Like,
would have been a really
I
good
know
one to
that is,
bring up
I'm
with
sorry,
her.
but I think that goes along the same thread of having when you're having an intimate dream with somebody else, and sometimes it could be a stranger or like Kat said, it could be a family member, which is super weird.
Weird.
Like
Yeah.
that's a lot stranger, I think, than an old fling or an ex or
Right.
something.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
And
those
like
are on all kinds of levels. And like she said, the sex part has nothing to do with actual sex.
yeah.
Which I
Yeah.
would, you know, like the only reason I know that is because I've read about it before, you know, and I think that if you didn't know that, you'd be totally freaked out to share that with
And
someone.
not want to tell somebody. I mean,
Yeah.
like, and I think this is like kind of like a good time too to say like, so our whole point of this show is like our obsessions. And I think it's fair to say on a regular occasion, we will message each other and be like, hold up, I need to tell you something. This is like, I
Yeah.
feel like I've said several times, Maria, I had the most effed up dream. I can't even tell you about it.
The night after we talked to Kat, we both the next morning were like, holy smokes, I
Yes.
effed up dream last night.
Yes. Now I can't even remember what that was. See, and this is exactly why.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, now I remember. No, I remember.
Is it too messed up to share? Should we try to decode it ourselves?
Oh, that could be fun. I mean, I remember yours. Did I tell you what mine was?
No, and I think because it was in the morning and I was getting ready for work, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to ask her what it was, and then I forgot. So I got to work, and things get busy.
Because now
What
I don't even know if I remember what it was.
I don't feel like I should share mine.
No, no.
um, I will say while you're trying to remember, and I don't want to put you on the spot, so if you don't,
Well,
if you
this just goes to show she was very specific about you need to write it down because you will
that's
not
what I was
remember
gonna
it.
say.
This is
I
why.
I want to start a dream journal. I think I am going to keep one next to my nightstand. That's on my
Yeah.
to-do list for the next week because I have had a couple since then, even where like, I wish I could remember or write
Yeah.
that down.
And yeah, just even if it's like the most basic dream, I think it's important to write it down, like she said, because you never know. And what, it might not be what you expect. And it could just be that if you write it down and then, like even weeks later, you look through it and you're like pulling out certain words and you're like, oh my God, this is all making sense now.
Yeah.
I, same thing. Ever since we talked to her, I'm like, I need to, like my sister was giving me a hard time the other day because I have literally like
You have a million.
notebooks.
Yeah.
I have a million
Everywhere.
journals because and my OCD takes over and I need a journal for this and I need a journal for
Yeah.
that. And I have a journal of my food and I have a journal of this. But I want to start keeping one. And I've even noticed like this last few days since we talked to her, like, have you been trying to wake yourself, like
I've
give
been trying.
yourself a few seconds before you get up?
Oh no, I'm so bad at that,
I
especially when I
usually am too. So it's
wake up.
really
But
been hard. Like,
I have been trying to really focus on dreaming and what's going to happen in my dreams. So when I go to sleep the last couple of nights. So
right.
I'm glad you talked a lot about the journaling because I think it's also important to note that when you write down your dream, it doesn't have to be verbatim, detail oriented. I think she really focused on you pull out the biggest keys for you. Like your dream that seemed like 5 days long could be paraphrased in a paragraph if you've got the big key points like the crow, the worm, the monks, the window between or the room between the windows,
Right.
when you say like it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. No. And she did a very, obviously in the book, it goes through a much more in depth, but she did a great job at just the bullet points of,
The so dream, yeah.
yeah, of what you need to do. It's just so crazy.
I know. I could like go on and on about the dreams. It's insane.
And I was so glad at the end I asked her about the symbols because I wasn't really sure like if she was going to, obviously I figured I could explain it enough, but I wasn't really sure if there was going to be
Oh, you
any.
mean the like most common symbols of
Yeah.
the teeth and yeah.
Yeah. And like how to interpret those. I didn't really know if she would, have like, oh yeah, like, but she was like, as soon as I said like the word, she was like, oh, yep, right here.
Well,
Like,
those are the things that you most commonly Google, I think, when you have a dream like that. Like I know my visitation dream that morning, I woke up and I was like, I didn't do anything that day except for read that book I asked her about. Like it just,
yeah.
I read it in like 2 hours, but still, it was like, that was the first thing I needed to do. And then when I had the dream, I sent a copy of it to someone else immediately. Sorry, I kicked the table again.
Earthquake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally though. Oh, and the light. I wanted to ask you too, because then when she was talking about how dreams of shamanism or spiritual dreams are more dimly lit or are darker in nature, as far as like being in a bright room versus like my visitation dream was like we were in a dark room. It wasn't dark, I could see, but it was like it was dimly lit. Was you like with your reoccurring dream with your dad, was that like that?
Um, I don't, I honestly see, and this is like a good example of where it would be good to write it down. So, like, for me, the hard part about the dream was that he wasn't even in a lot of it, like, until the very end, because it was literally me running around like a crazy person,
Trying to change
trying
everything.
to do all these things to change it. And it wasn't until the very end where I was with him when he said like I have cancer, and I honestly I can't remember.
I wonder if that's like a different stage as to when they're ready to. We should have talked to her about this too, because
Yeah.
the first dream I had with my dad, he didn't say anything. And it was like that too, where it was me running around. And then finally, when I saw him, he just like, getting chills, like talking about it. He just looked at me and like, he looked healthy and good and whatever. And then he was just gone. But then the second one I had was, so that was 6 months to the day that he died. And then the second one I had was maybe 6 months ago.
Wow.
Or something. Maybe it was a year ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was after my daughter Ellen was born. And in that dream, he did speak to me. But so when I read that book I was telling you about, in that book, they say that sometimes people that come to you in dreams will either not say something or not come to you, depending on if you're ready to accept the message that they want to give you. So maybe for you, I don't know, like you are ready at that point versus another point. And I know like in between my two dreams, my brother Kike, which, sorry to name drop you, wasn't going to use names, but he had a dream about something that I still haven't dreamt about. And I think it was because I was not, and I'm not ready to, do you know what I mean? So I think that I wish we had, maybe next time we have her on, we can talk more about like dream messages from loved ones.
Right. And she's also, she also talked to us about having us on her show. So that could also be a really good,
a
good one for her. Yeah, it's just so like there's so much room for interpretation, but it's also, I feel like once you really get into it, it's a very like obvious and specific reason or explanation,
and finite too. It sounds like you know, like you said, it's very obvious. And but
I think too, like for me, and I don't know if you felt like this, for me the hardest part was I so badly for so long just wanted to dream about him and like see him and like remember, and because I felt like not right away, but after a certain period of time, like you start to like question whether you remember what that person looks like or what they sound like, or you know, so it was, I just wanted those things. And then finally I get this dream and it's like the build up and having so much hope and then being crushed at the end.
Right. That dream where you just wanted to see somebody and have time with turned into this whole message of other things. But I think that goes to show you, like she said, when they come to share a message with you, they're telling you what you need to hear. Like you obviously didn't go into your dream wanting to know that there's nothing else you could have done, but your dad must have known that. And
and I'm sure, you know, I mean, I'll put it out there. Like, I don't care if there are believers or non-believers. Like, I'm a very spiritual person and I do believe
me too. I feel like we should have prefaced this whole episode.
Probably.
Whatever.
Like you know,
if they haven't figured it out by now.
Exactly. If you're still watching, you are either okay with it or you yourself is a spiritual person. So just roll with it.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm very, obviously a believer in that, you know, people aren't gone forever and they're, you know, so I'm sure in the day to day, he, to some degree, obviously knew that I was struggling with, you know, not accepting what had happened. And that was obviously his way of trying to say, you need to stop, because just, you know, I don't even know what the words are. Because it was such a traumatic, you know, it just like and maybe that could also come into part too. Like it was traumatic and it was unexpected and there was no closure. And I think that's what I still struggle. And I get angry about the fact that, you know, that was taken away from me and quite possibly a whole part of that dream too is the same thing, just trying to, him being like, you need to just let it go, because that was like his mentality. And not get out. I'm not trying to be insensitive, but get up, it's time to
Right.
stop.
There's
Because
nothing, it was out of your hands.
Exactly, out of your hands. There's no sense in making a fuss over it, because that is the type of person he was. He would tell me to buck the F up and move forward. But anyway, yeah, I agree. We could probably talk about these sort of things forever.
We should
but
have, did you ever read that book, Proof of Heaven by Evan Alexander? I think I gave you one.
I don't think so.
We used to have, anyway, we should try to get him on. He's a really big deal. He's a neurosurgeon, and he had a near-death experience. Not near-death experience, like he clinically died. He was brain dead in a coma for, I can't remember how long. But,
is this like Derek Shepherd?
yeah, except he doesn't actually, like, he comes back. And so he's written, I think, like 3 books about that experience, and how it, like, he never even had acknowledged that there's an afterlife or spirituality, because he was a scientist. And he was like, if I can't see it and touch it and smell it, if it doesn't pass all 5 senses, it doesn't exist.
Right.
And, it's interesting though, because he talks about, and when you read near-death experiences books, a lot of them have the same kind of, I don't want to say, like, there's just a lot of similarities. So he says that when you first die, like, everything kind of goes dark and murky for a very short period of time. And then, like, as soon as that's over, everything's like light and bright, and it makes sense, and it's beautiful. And he describes heaven though in this, like,
oh my God,
try to get him. I'm going to make a note. Like I said, he's a big deal. If you Google him, Eben Alexander, it's EBEN Alexander. I think he has like hundreds of thousands of followers, but
that's nuts.
His books are older, so maybe he would be into coming on. But
yeah, that would definitely be. Yeah. I would so be into that. Like,
we need to talk to a skeptic too, especially.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Was a skeptic, and it was.
I don't know if I could do that actually.
No.
It might get heated.
Well, he's not a skeptic anymore.
Oh no, not him. I thought you said like talk to somebody else who's a skeptic.
I don't want to waste my time.
Okay. I thought you meant talk to him and then talk to a skeptic. I was gonna say no. I don't think I could do that. Would be like 60 minutes of F you, no thank you, goodbye. I'm not talking to you. Yeah.
How's the bye Felicia thing go? Bye Felicia.
Oh, I don't know. I just say it.
Or you just like clap back. I think I'm all of those popular terms right now.
Yeah, or if any of our viewers are watching and know anyone or have any suggestions of somebody that we could talk to along those lines, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
reach out to us.
We should probably wrap this up. We've been on for a while, but I think this is a great tie-in to tell people to keep in touch with us. Send us questions. Oh, do you want to go into our plans maybe for our next episode?
Which one?
I don't really know. We don't have a solid plan yet.
Yeah, we don't have a solid plan. It's kind of up in the air. Oh, or were we talking about the like 20 minutes?
Yeah, so we're going to do a shorter episode next week just because I'm going to be out of town and plugging in remotely. So
we kind of had a thought in that at some point we're going to do more about Devin, more about Maria episodes where we go more into us personally, but we didn't really want to do that for a little while because we figured we don't want to bore people if they're like not really into the show. So anyway, we thought we could do a quick mini version and thought it would be cool if viewers sent in maybe questions, either about us or about our obsessions, maybe that they want to know a little bit more about. And so, yeah, if you would like to know more, ask us.
Drop
and
us
maybe,
Maria DM.
Yeah, hit the DMs.
And share everything. Share our stuff.
Yeah, share,
just
subscribe.
Keep the dialogue going.
We could even do it live. We've been talking about toying with a live episode.
Do you want to? I don't know if we can. I'm not bringing my laptop. I was gonna just because I have to carry everything
I don't
home
think
on the.
that matters. I think if we do it live, we just go to our YouTube, right?
Can I do that from my phone? Can we do that
Probably. I would
like
assume.
images live?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe not.
Hmm.
I don't know. We'll have to look more into that.
Yeah.
Anyway, go to our Instagram, send us questions there. You can also email us at devinandmaria.talkshow@gmail. Make sure you check out Kat's book, Kathleen O'Keefe-Kanavos. You can find her on Facebook. You can find her now on Instagram. She has a new Instagram page. She also has a website, but if you go to her Facebook page, I think that has the most detailed information. It also gives a really good bio of everything that she's done. And she's gotten quite a few awards recently, which is really exciting. And she gave we could, end with that sort of. She gave us a first, she told us first about the upcoming
next book. Yeah, she gave us a sneak peek. So stay tuned for that. I think the best way to do that is by following her social media. And her book is available wherever books are sold. Also, your public library. You can always just request something, and anybody can get you anything.
And that book just came out on Audible. So if you're an Audible listener, you can get that for free with one of your credits. Also, she did say, make sure you find her on her talk show, because she does a talk show and she has people call in, write in, so that she can interpret their dreams.
So that
which is really cool.
If you want to send your dream to us, you could send them directly
Send it to her. Yeah.
But she's going to come back in the fall to our show.
Yes, we already have a September, October episode planned.
All right, Devin. I got to run because I was on my lunch break.
Yeah, my baby is upstairs. I can hear her.
All right. Well, it was fun chatting with you as always.
Yes, that was so awesome to rehash that.
I know. I've been so excited to do that. I've been thinking about it since we got off the phone with her. Oh, she's up. She's ready. This last week we didn't sleep train or anything, and my baby just started dismissing me from her room at night. Talk about heartbreak.
Heartbreak, but man, take that while you've got it, because there's nothing worse. Yeah.
I could not believe it. Oh, it's
she's
crazy.
Getting so old.
Holding her, and she's like stretching out, and then she started pointing at her crib and grunting. I was like, I think she wants to go in there. I put her in. She just went to rolled over and
went to bed. Before you know it, she's going to be in a big girl bed and have real underwear on, and
I'm not ready.
All those things.
I literally was dismissed. But
independent woman.
You've got one on your hands. She's about ready to jump out of the crib, it looks like.
Yeah. Any day now. She'll just, throw herself up over the side.
Okay. Well, on that note, we should dismiss ourselves.
Yes. So yeah, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Subscribe, share, tell your friends, watch us, listen to us, whatever it takes. And next time you're dreaming,
write it down.
Write it down, and take a few notes from the episode with Kat, and you can probably interpret some of it yourself.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys.
All right.
Bye.